Hello, hello, hello. Everyone who wakes up super anxious in the morning or stressed and already freaking out about the day, or really for anybody, because the truth is, if you don't have a good morning routine, life takes over before you
Yep.
know it. And things get actually never on track or derail really quickly. If you have a good morning routine, and we're going to share some really cool strategies today and things that you should 100% integrate into your morning routine. But if you don't have a good morning routine, don't expect it to be a fantastic, awesome day. It's a gamble. If you have a good morning routine, you can actually really more intentional set the tone for the day, and it has an impact on your mental health. So you can totally
hmm
control your anxiety and your stress levels, but also your productivity and how you manage the whole day is definitely influenced by it. So welcome. I'm Heike Fallon, and I am a certified high performance coach. I coach my clients on neuro self leadership, meaning with a brain based approach. And I help them to rock their day and their life and health and productivity. So, Shannon.
Hi, Shannon Passalacqua, and I am also a certified high performance coach, and I help women heal after miscarriage.
Yes, and we both help really clients to get back on track, living to their fullest potential. And one key component, can't stress it enough, is the morning routine.
Yep.
And
As much as it's talked about and everyone wants to push it aside, it is actually really important.
I have to admit, I just until wow 6 years ago, I didn't really think about it. Be honest with you, I was just like,
No.
I'm not a morning person, so don't bother me before I have my coffee.
Yep.
And
Yep.
my goal was just rolling out of bed and trying to get moving. And that was it. That was my morning routine. And I didn't really spend a whole lot of extra thought on I could change that and I can have a different impact on my day. Now, since I've
hmm
been implementing it more intentionally for sure, I notice a difference when I'm off. Nobody is, perfect every day. So I do fall off occasionally, but I feel it. I know the
Yep.
difference. I can feel the difference. My day starts completely different. And having a good morning routine is not just, as we said, for productivity, but also for your health and especially your
Yeah.
mental health.
I, a couple things. One, I want to stress, well, I am still not a morning person. So
Oh,
I
yeah, no, no,
still,
no.
I'm still
No.
like, things are rough. Um, but I do want to stress that I know there's a lot of people out there who say a lot of influencers, a lot of gurus who say 5 a.m., got to get up at 5 a.m. and, and get your stuff done before everyone else wakes up. Otherwise, you're not going to be successful. And I want to be crystal clear on this. You can be successful in whatever way you want to be successful without getting up at 5 a.m. You need to take into account you and your body and your health and your mind and your life and make sure that you are taking that into account because everyone's life is different, looks different. My kids go to bed a little bit later. And I know I need 8 hours of sleep. And in order for me to get 8 hours of sleep, I have to get up at, I have to go to bed at a certain time and then wake up at a certain time. And if I get up at 5 a.m., I'm not going to get enough sleep. And then my day is derailed. Two, that was number one. So I just wanted to be crystal clear on that. Two, this is something that I use with my community and the women I work with is if you are waking up with anxiety, and you wake up and your heart's beating really fast and you feel just kind of already um, flustered or stressed or anxious, here's a simple tool that you can use. And you don't have to be going through grief to do this. Sometimes it's our hormones that are off. Sometimes it's just whatever's going on in our life. Simple tool that you can use. Close your eyes. And I learned this from Mel Robbins. Close your eyes, do your breathing techniques. So you breathe in and breathe out through your mouth for longer than you're breathing in. Put your hand on your heart and say to yourself, I am safe and I am loved. And repeat that to yourself for the first 30 seconds to a minute of your day. I am safe and I am loved. And that is going to put you in a more calm state. The breathing's going to calm your, I know.
Made me tired, which is good.
It's going to calm your nervous system when
Yes.
you're touching your heart, you're connecting to your body. So give that a try, and hopefully that helps ground you a little bit and brings you back to center.
Love it. So yes, this I hope people followed along, or you can do it any time of day when you're feeling stressed, because
Yes.
at the end of the day, at the end of the day, I should say, anytime. The key is the longer exhalation calms our nervous system down. And yes, the hands here and feeling your body and checking in. Maybe you feel even your heart rate, and you can focus on that, which is called interoception. Very key component of self-awareness. So awesome, awesome drill. I do want to go back really quick on, because I think if anybody listening haven't heard this yet clearly, you have to figure out what works for you. It
I mean,
does
I think we say this every single week.
It is, don't get me wrong. Somebody was trying to convince me a long time ago, 30 years ago. They said, no, Heike, you just got to get up early. You get used to it. And I went ahead and I said, okay, fine. I'm going to prove to you. I'm going to give it a fair shot for half a year. I got up earlier, which I don't like. I'm not, see, we either morning people or later people. So early bird, later gator is the thing, but also you could be the mid person. I'm kind of more the mid person. But the key is you need to know what works for you. But I gave it a shot because somebody challenged me and
Mhm.
said, no, you just got to do it. So I did it for half a year because I thought that's a fair try.
That's a fair try.
That's a fair try, because if you implement something, you don't want to just do it a week. It doesn't work like that. You have to do it really 3 months minimum. So I went for the 6, and I got up actually every day at 6. And even after half a year, come 2 o'clock, I was useless.
Yes.
I was completely useless. I
Yep.
had clients all day long back then. And honestly, it got to the point where I'm like, I'm not serving my clients as good as I could,
Mm,
at the 2, 3 o'clock time,
yep.
because I was just tired.
Yeah, and everyone always said to me, "Oh, you'll get past that. You'll get past that."
I never got past that.
Never got past
And
it.
I really thought I wanted to really have a change, because, you think like people get more done in the morning. The truth is, I'm really, really good in the evening.
Me too.
I can totally sit there and work on something and do things 7, 8 p.m. I love that time. And so bottom line is, find what time works for you. Do not follow this. You have to get it at 5 a.m. Follow and really check with yourself. If you're not sure, try it out. Actually, kind of cool. The Aura Ring does. I'm not affiliated, but the Aura Ring now does analyze your sleep rhythm and everything, and figures out for you what kind of type you are. And I have to say, I was surprised. It was
That's cool.
pretty accurate. Obviously, it takes the data you have. So if you already implemented a certain habit, it doesn't know fully your natural one. If you've been forcing yourself out of bed, then it may think still that's, because it's only analyzing the data it has.
Right.
So
Right.
bottom line is, figure really out who you are, what works for you. And that's when you get up. And the other thing you said, very, very important. We do need 7 to 9 hours of sleep. And there is no point in getting up at 5 a.m. if
Right.
you're not if you're not going to bed in the appropriate time. So with that said, figure out what is your 7 to 9 hours sleep, and figure out, when you go to bed and when your wake up time is, because we do not want to compromise sleep. Sleep is so.
No, I think that's the most important tool.
Yes.
And we talked about that in our video about nighttime routine.
Yeah. Yeah, check
which I
that
think
out. We did
we'll
a,
link to.
yep, we did a video on effective nighttime routine, so check it out. And key though is whenever you wake up, that's when you start your morning routine. And then the question is, what should you do first? And one thing, I mean, obviously, again, it's your morning routine. It needs to serve you for your day. And you know, if other people do, you know, for example, meditation, that's great. If I do meditation, I'm falling right away
Me
back
too.
to sleep. I cannot
Tried so hard to do
meditate.
meditation first thing in the morning. And I'm like,
No, but I have clients and
I
it
can do
works
it later.
yeah, but I have clients that works great for them. The key is try out different things, figure it out and see what works for you. Meditation in the morning does not work for me. It doesn't matter what kind. I've tried different ones. It's not working. I fall right back to sleep. I need more stimulus in the morning in different ways. So try out different things and figure it out. But here's a few things I like to share that are definitely vital from a brain-based perspective and a general, you know, how we function. And those things I would highly recommend to integrate. One big one is start with water. Start your morning with water, or well, even
Not coffee.
no, before
I
you.
actually have started drinking water before my coffee.
So the thing is, we dehydrate throughout the night, right? Because we're not getting any fluid, we're not getting any food, we're dehydrating overnight. And the most important thing and the very first thing that our system needs is hydration. And coffee is not a good way to hydrate. So before you have your coffee, you should always have a glass of water. Or, I mean, I know some go like, I don't like water, then have a tea, like a non, you know, like an herbal tea, not a caffeine tea. But water and ideally even with a little lemon or
Yep.
some salt in it. But if anything, just have a little bit of water, ideally even like room temperature water, because our systems first the brain and the body needs hydration. And so starting with a glass of water, ideal. And then you can go head for your coffee, because I always need my coffee.
Me too.
I love my coffee.
Another thing that has been talked about a lot recently, but I think is really cool is making sure that you get sunlight in your eyes. I think it's within the first hour of waking up. You know,
Yes.
some people wake up and it's still dark out, so that's difficult. But I think when you can get sun exposure into your eyes as soon as you can, I actually I walk my boys to school in the morning. I count that as my sunlight exposure and my early morning walk. So, but during the summer when I'm not walking them to school, I do try to get my coffee and go outside and my journal and go outside and get that sunlight exposure. It helps our circadian rhythm. Is that correct?
Yep. So
Yep.
you're absolutely right. Sunlight is, and there's been a lot of research out, especially, and it's been more coming to the mainstream lately. Sunlight does have a huge impact on our whole system, because we function in a circadian rhythm, which is a 24-hour cycle, which is our sleep and awake cycle. And it is actually regulated by sunlight. And in the evening, when you go to bed, when it's getting dark, or actually not when you go to bed, when it gets dark, your melatonin production starts because it gets dark, and that makes us sleepy. That's a sign then for the whole system. Okay, it's time to sleep. And when we wake up in the morning and we get that sunlight, the melatonin production stops due to the sunlight, and that will help us to wake up. So if you're struggling with waking up,
It's
or
like we're like little solar panels.
yes, we are. And so in the morning, it's very important to get that sunlight, particularly because they have really done so many studies now that how important it is to have a more consistent rhythm on this. And we're screwed up with all the, you know,
Blue
artificial
lights
lightings we
yeah.
have. And if you're somebody which I highly recommend not to do, and I fall sometimes into that. Don't be on your phone in the morning because of that screen. If you feel though, because here's why it's so addictive, because it's the light makes us wake up because it's such an intense light, right? And it helps us to wake up, particularly the ones that struggle with waking up. So you kind of tend to grab that phone, right? Because it feels good because it gets you awake. But the truth is, open those blinds because the sun,
Well,
hold on, the sunlight
yeah.
does have different wavelengths than I mean different spectrum of wavelengths than the phone has. So you don't want to be on the phone utilizing that because it's not the same as sunlight. But ideally, the sunlight you want to get not through the window. You want to get it by stepping outside. And I understand that's difficult. Sometimes, it's raining or
Sometimes it's pouring rain.
sometimes it's pouring rain or it's nasty out there. I don't want to be out there either. But in that case, yes, then either, at least take the sunlight through the window, but the windows do block some of those waves. Ideally, you want to be outside. And here's the cool thing. When it's sunny, you only need 10 minutes. You only really need 10 minutes. If it's overcast, they say do about 20 minutes. If it's overcast, you're still getting the benefits of it. But the key is get that sunlight in the morning because it also has an impact again on the circadian rhythm and therefore has an impact on your sleep. So the better you wake up, the better it regulates your sleep cycle. And you might, if you're struggling with sleep, you might want to get the early sunlight because it helps you sleep.
I have a question.
Sure.
And I'm hoping you have the answer. Because I've heard this and I haven't had a chance to research into it and look it up. I have heard that sunlight and going outside and getting your exposure also helps with your gut microbiome.
That's a good one. I would have to look at research. I wouldn't be surprised if it does too, because
I mean, I feel like there's just so much connected to your gut microbiome.
right now, honestly, everything, well, it's not the gut microbiome per se. What it really is, it's the mitochondria. The mitochondria are literally everywhere in our brain and our gut and everywhere. And they found now that really those are the key component of our health. And our mitochondria production is important. So sunlight does have an impact on the mitochondria production. If it's particularly just the gut, I would have to double check that, but it's definitely because we have mitochondria in parts of the brain and in different areas. So it definitely helps the mitochondria production. So it is healthy no matter.
It's healthy.
It's healthy. Go do it. I have to admit, I'm not catching you ideally want the early sunlight. Now, yes, as a little later person, you might not catch the early one when it's summertime, but it doesn't matter. Just whenever you wake up, try to get at least about 10 minutes off sunlight exposure. Don't look directly in the sunlight and do not wear sunglasses because that blocks it again. Obviously, what I do when I go for my walk in the morning, I start without sunglasses. If it's really sunny, I start without for, the 10 minutes and then I put it on. To get that, but it really makes a difference. It also actually stimulates, so it stops melatonin production, but it also activates cortisol, which is not always bad. It's just a matter of how much cortisol. So it's a good amount to get that cortisol in the morning, but it can really change a lot in getting a regular sleep cycle, your overall health and well-being. But again, you can't just do it once. I mean, do it even if you do it once, but if you want to see the effects, you do have to do it on a regular basis. It does take some time to create a good rhythm if you were pretty off on your schedule. So definitely have water in the morning, definitely get some sunlight. Those are true proven by research proven strategies that impact your health tremendously.
It's funny because my husband will, when we walk the kids to school, sometimes he'll be like, do you want to stay home? If the dogs are needing whatever. Sometimes I'll be like, no, I want to go so that I can get because when I get my walk in and when I get my sunlight exposure, that's how I start my morning. That's what gets me enough energy so I can work out later when I get home. So it helps wake me up, and I know I need it. And it's not like I'm going out and first of all, I'm not like staring at the sun like this, and I'm not going for like a sprint in the morning. I'm just with my coffee, walking my kids to school, and that helps wake me up. It starts my morning off really well. But I want to go back to that phone thing
Yep, yep, yep.
because I know how easy it is to just grab our phone, right? Most of us, it's our alarm. Um, I try, and I haven't done it recently, but I used to put my phone in the bathroom so that when my alarm went off, I actually stood up and went to turn it off, and then I would walk away from it uh, because it takes over our day and our schedule when the phone is the first thing that we look at. We suddenly become, um, I don't, what's the word I'm looking for? It takes over our day where we're looking at social media. So then it's influencing our stress level. Um, if we're checking the work emails, then that's becoming more important than our morning and our time with our family or our time with ourselves. It's just, it hijacks your day.
Well, the truth
So
is you end up being reactive, right?
yes,
You're not in control. You're just reacting to, whatever you see. If it's negative news, if it's something on social media, which can create easy FOMO, even if you're not feeling it.
yes, yes.
There is stuff happening. And so, in checking the email, so I stopped doing emails and that kind of stuff. I don't do that at all in the first hour. I may answer an important text because if it's needed for
Right.
the first, hour or something like that, but I don't check my emails for the first hour of my morning because I
Mhm.
used to get sucked into it.
Yep.
And also, you, like I said, you turn reactive and things so quickly
Yeah.
snowball into where my productivity was so affected. So I stopped doing that because it just is not very productive. What you really, so these are things that would be good to do. It's more the productivity and research as far as you're not going to compromise your health tremendously, but if you do it and you get really worked up, it can impact you.
I
So
think it
if you
would impact your emotional health.
yeah, so if you're somebody who is definitely check in with yourself, see how much you might be reactive, see what mood you were in when you woke up and what mood you're in after your emails
Mhm.
or checking, different
Social media or the
social media or
news.
something, and check in with yourself, right? And see how much it impacts you. You might not be aware of how much it actually shifts your mood or shifts your current state, a mental state. And
Right.
particularly if you're waking up already stressed and more anxious, it's something what I would cut out first. You might not be, too affected by it, then good for you. But
Yeah, it doesn't affect my husband at all, but he is like an abnormal human being who doesn't get affected by he doesn't get worked up by things.
but the thing is too is how much time do you spend on it and how much does it affect your productivity? So all you need to do is really check in, pay attention to and see how much it impacts, if it's not your mental health, but how much does it impact your productivity? For me, it was really more productivity got impacted. So what I do instead is
I was
actually,
gonna say, what do you do in that time?
so what I usually do is I do have my planner, which by the way you can get on Amazon. So I created a planner where there's a morning and an evening journaling. So it's just, I'm not the big long format journaler, so there's a couple of journal prompts in there. And so I do that in the morning. And one big component of that is to also see, okay, how do I want to show up today? What are my intentions today? To really set off on a positive note rather than reactive. I like to
Mhm.
really go into thinking, how can I show up today and who needs me today? Who do I need to maybe, you know, spend an extra minute on, or send a
Mhm.
little love or give a little hug or send a kind note to, or something that I wanted to follow up on because I cared about them, to find out how they're doing. So I do those type of things, and I usually have also something, one question in there is, what could come in the way of something that I have planned? Like if I have a task or I
Yeah.
want to do something, what could could come in the way of
what could get
that?
in the
What
way
is
of
an
it?
obstacle there? And, what do I do if that, wouldn't happen? So for example, sometimes it's, I look at my schedule and I'm like, ooh, that's a little full schedule. What do I do when that, what could happen? Or it could happen that I feel pretty stressed out around this time because I feel like it's going back to back.
Mhm.
So what can I do, to prevent that? And then oftentimes it's like, you know what? There's this, half-hour break. I'm going to make sure I'm utilizing that half-hour break more intentionally to recharge my energy rather than just letting the day go. So I look in
Mhm.
the morning already at my day. How does it look? Where do I need to manage my energy? And where do I need to maybe show up more intentional? And when you start your day off more in control like that, it does have an impact on
Yeah.
your not just your mental health, also your physical health, because you can't disconnect those two. So if you're stressed out and mentally not well, it turns
Mhm.
into you being tight or the stomach or what have you.
Or the jaw,
Or the jaw. Oh, jaw is a big one too. Yep. So
always.
people don't even realize how tight they are in the jaw here.
Oh,
And
my
it's
teeth,
because
my
they're
teeth show me just how.
so start off
um,
your day more in control by the things that you're doing rather than reactive to what the world wants from you or not.
yeah, and I'm going to piggyback on your journaling because for anyone who's listening who is in the middle of grief or a miscarriage, if you're in my community, um, the productivity may be too difficult at this time. And what I would suggest is, starting with your hand on your heart and doing your breathing, and then do a brain dump. And what I mean by that is just get a journal and just write whatever you're feeling, anger, sad, any emotion that you're feeling, shame, guilt. There's a lot that comes with grief. And if you could just don't even analyze what you're writing, just let it come out, and you don't even need to read it again. Just put it out on paper, get it out. And you can do that in the morning and at night because, if you're having a difficult time sleeping and falling asleep, sometimes it's because our mind is racing. And just do a brain dump before you go to bed. And this could take 3 to 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be an hour-long process. Just get those emotions out and those thoughts and put them somewhere. And
Absolutely.
then
Yeah.
if you're able to hold on to this and able to do this, see if you can find a couple things that you're thankful for, grateful for, something like we've talked about glimmers before, something good that may have happened. It's really hard to find something good to hang on to when you're in the middle of a struggle. But if you could find something and write it down, do that as well.
So good. I think that's for anybody who is feeling stuck or stressed or,
Mhm.
not just grieving. I mean, if you're feeling stuck and you have a really, really hard time in life, that's when usually the morning routines fall off, right? That's when we
Yeah,
like,
for
let's
sure.
pull the blanket over the head and like, I'm
Yes,
not here, I'm not participating. Um,
yes.
that happens to all of us at some point. And when you're in that kind of situation, brain dumping is a great technique. I think it's fantastic. And then love that gratitude part, because that's when we needed to look
Mhm.
at least some glimpse of like hope or some little
And
lights.
I know it sounds corny, and no one in the middle of grief wants to hear find something to be grateful for. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying
Yep,
like, well, no
yep,
toxic positivity here. Just recognize if someone reached out to you
yep.
or if someone is helping you through this process. Just try to find something to
Yep.
hold on to.
Yes, yes. We talked about it. Like it's about the little glimpse. So depending
Yeah.
on what stage you're in, but that's that's okay when the morning routine isn't ideal, but there are still strategies that you can kind of keep moving forward. And when you're feeling stuck there, like just one little step can be helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Next one for sure,
Yeah.
movement.
I know. See, and this is where I get my I get my sunlight and my movement at the same time.
Yeah, super. So
Love my coffee.
movement, super, super important. It does not mean you have to run like a crazy race or do some super intense workout. Some of my clients like doing yoga. I like to do some more easy movements, but I'm not kidding. It's even if you just move some joints. So even when you're lying there in bed and you're not feeling like wanting to participate on the day to day, to just do an ankle circles or hand movements, because every time we move our joints, we're actually activating the brain, and it does help to wake up the brain too. So it does not have to be.
That's cool.
It is. So it doesn't have to be great. Yes, if you get your heart rate up, but even if you can, just doing more, even like finger movements, all of this.
That's really, I mean, so easy to do if you're, again,
Yep.
like you said, if you're not participating in life today, which, if you're in grief and you're going to stay in bed, at least.
Yep, do little hand movements like figure eights, up and down, finger circles, or just doing this stuff. So what happens is you're activating your cerebellum, which sits back here, and the cerebellum feeds into the frontal cortex. It helps you also think better then, because the frontal cortex is our thinking. That's why there's been so much research out to where if you do exercise, they've done studies with school kids when they
Yes.
exercise before school, their academic grades went up.
Yeah.
We think better when we move. So with that said,
For
if
sure.
you're not thinking well in that sense of that you're really, either anxious or depressed or, feeling stuck, move. And again, we talked about it too. Getting in a different state of mind is usually by changing your physical state. And if you have a hard time moving big, just do little movements. So integrating some kind of movement in the morning, let it be you're like the workout person, go for a workout. If you walk your dog, then walk your dog, do your yoga, do some kind of movement. I recently
Weightlifting.
got a rebounder, but it was still a little much to do right away in the morning. So
What's a rebounder?
the little trampoline. So
Oh,
I use that.
my God, I would pee my
I
pants.
have not gotten it to integrate yet in the morning. It's a little much for me. Like, but I do it throughout the day multiple times as a break now, which
That's great.
yeah, I super love it because it also stimulates the lymph system so well. But um eventually my dream was to maybe integrate it in the morning, but so far I've been passing by and oh my God, that's too much.
Flip it off.
That's too much for me right now. Oh my God, I gotta first wake up for that one. But
Yeah, I try to do my workouts in the morning. I can't, if I don't do it in the morning, it's not going to happen because either I try not to let the day get away from me, but I'm not going to have the energy. I will talk myself out of it. And it really does put me in a better mood for the entire day. And it helps with my stress level. It helps with any hormonal anxiety or anger or whatever is going on. It helps me get that out. It helps release it. And I'm just going to put it out there for all the women. All the research is saying to start weightlifting. So lifting weights is very important.
yeah, and you can use
Not
bands,
always
any
cardio. Yeah.
resistant training, so it doesn't have to be the big weights. It can be just using bands or doing
Resistance training.
or using your body weight. So
Mhm.
planks, for example, are type of resistant training with utilizing your body weight. So there's definitely want to get that. Don't have to do it in the morning though, so it doesn't have to be part of your morning routine. But yeah, I'm with you. Starting the day off with something that is for you, for your self-care, I think is important. And I don't get it always in, but I love to read in the morning.
Yeah.
Just even 15 minutes because it really, I love learning, and I feel in the morning like.
So if you get a chance to read in the morning, are you reading for like educational business purposes, like to learn things, or are you reading like a fiction
I think the last time I read fiction.
in the morning? Because
No,
I'm the opposite.
ever.
Oh,
I don't read much fiction. I don't read much fiction. I only read sometimes fiction when I am actually traveling,
Like on vacation.
like overseas. Then I've read some fiction, but oh man, I love science. So yes, I do.
So do I. We dork out.
I just dork out on it, and I
Yeah.
love it. And so I have to admit, the last fiction book I read, it's like 15 years ago or something. I don't read fiction. I mean, 10, 15 years ago,
Wow.
probably. I do used to read a lot more. But currently there's so much good research out
I know.
that I already have books that are sitting in my bookcase
Oh my
that
gosh. I
one
have a pile of books.
that I'm dying to read, and
Yeah.
they're so good, and they're brand new research in there, and it's just going so fast with all of it that I
Yeah.
just love it. And I love to serve my clients and community with more knowledge and information that's cutting edge that just came out. So I
Yeah.
just love it. But yeah, so I'm not too drawn to the fiction books. So therefore, I
Yeah.
guess I read more my science books in the morning.
Yeah. During the pandemic, I OD'd on the science books. So I was like, oh, I need to I need to go back to like I want to be like brain dead for a little bit and zone out. So what I try to do now is in the morning read my science books, and then in the evening I read my uh fiction.
Yeah, and what a lot of my clients do too. I personally don't do it, but they have an affirmation that they read every morning. Because
Mhm.
whatever their situation is, and we worked on it, and for them it was really helpful to have an affirmation. So just a saying that and an affirmation can be just, a one sentence self-talk like you shared, with the
Yeah, I'm
exercise we did
safe
in
and
the
I'm
morning.
loved. Mhm.
Yeah, or something that is very unique to the person. So I have a lot of clients integrating that in the morning as well, because it sets the tone of the day. Now
Yeah.
I do one more thing, and I always do that, and it's changed my day tremendously,
Ooh, what?
is the needle mover versus to-do list. That's just been
Yeah.
my biggest thing. That's part of my morning routine. I do look at my schedule of the day, look at how to manage my energy, and where stress points could be, and how I can navigate through those most effectively. And then I take a look at my to-do list and I sort them. Like, these are
Yeah.
the things that absolutely need to get done today. These are the ones that I care most about. Those are the ones I call them needle movers, because they move the needle forward towards my goals. And then there's these other things that,
Hmm.
yeah, the laundry should get done, but if it doesn't get done today, So there's some things that, that are not the most important. I first of all push them to the afternoon. So I start in the mornings is really the needle mover stuff first, and the afternoon comes maybe the calls or little
Yeah.
things that need to be done. And there's the things that, yes, they okay if they fall off. I'm not going to beat myself up at the end of the day of not having finished my to-do list because some of these weren't as important. So it also lowers overall stress, particularly if you want,
Right.
have the super long to-do list and you never get through it and you feel bad about yourself at the end of the
Hmm.
day. Start doing that one. That really helped me. Having really like your 1, 2 needle movers, not
Yeah.
10, not 10 needle
No,
movers. 1, 2 needle
like
movers
three at the most.
that you want to get started on, and the 1, 2, 3 to do things that have to get done the day, and everything else is bonus. It's all a mindset. So I do that definitely every morning, and that has 100% changed my life and day, and that has
Love
impacted
that.
impacted my day and my productivity, I think, the most.
Yeah.
As far as that goes. Yeah, so those are some strategies. There's more, of course, very individual. Check
Find
out
what works for
our
you.
Yeah, check out our other we did an episode about evening routine. We
Hmm.
can discuss, right? Evening or morning routine.
Which one's more important?
Which one is more important? They both super important. They both part of our life, and they matter. And so check it out, because if you have not thought about an evening routine is as equally or more or less, I don't know, important. I think it's equally important. I think it's a 24-hour cycle, as we need sleep and we need awake time. We need a morning routine. We need an evening routine. So check it out. The video is linked right here. And until next time, Coffee with Coaches. Having my water today.